with The Rock potentially clearing his movie schedule to face Roman Reigns and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for May 22nd. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Commenting on Johnny Elite making his AEW debut on Dynamite, company president Tony Khan told Busted Open Radio, "Oh man, it was great to have Johnny Elite here. What a great matchup he had with Samoa Joe. It was a great way to make his debut in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. That was tremendous, and really I am very glad he was here. He's a great mentor to some of the young wrestlers in the locker room, and somebody I think fans have looked up to for a long time. And he went toe-to-toe with one of the toughest wrestlers in AEW, one of our great stars, one of the greatest stars in the history of Ring of Honor, Samoa Joe." Being the AEW Women's Champion at 35, there's no reason for Thunder Rosa to retire anytime soon, but in a decade, that's something she'd consider, with her saying to Forbes, "I'm going to wrestle as long as possible, but I don't think I want to be wrestling after I'm 45. I know some of my peers at that age, and they're still wrestling. I personally don't want to, because it's very taxing on your body. I can wrestle to the caliber, to the level that I've been wrestling at for another 3 or 4 years, but I also have to scale back and take care of my body." For Double or Nothing on the 29th, Rosa will be defending her title against Serena Deeb. On the Universal Wrestling podcast, former WWE writer Matt McCarthy recalled when the then senior VP of Creative and Development suggested a superstar make a reference to Randy Orton's wife at the time and his daughter. Whoever his opponent was going to mention Randy's wife and Randy's daughter. I believe that this was the scenario, and Randy blew his stack. Randy was just like, "Why don't we keep my work and my work? Leave my family in my family's house," or something like that. It was just like, wow, I don't think Randy likes this idea. That was wild. One constant in WWE is seeing the names of talent be altered, like LA Knight recently debuting on Raw as Max Dupree, or Austin Theory now being just Theory. Reacting to the many name changes of superstars, Road Dogg defended this while speaking to WrestleZone. It's just like when you think back, they changed Fergal Devitt, or whatever his name was, to Finn Balor. People were like, "Oh my god, the world is gonna end." Now it's just like, Finn Balor, yay. You know what I mean? It hurts for a minute when they change something you were used to. So you go, "Oh, that sucks," and in 6 months you forget about that and you have a t-shirt with the new name on it. We as a fan base, and I say we because I'm a huge wrestling fan, we want what we want and we want it right now. Following their walkout on Raw, Sasha Banks and Naomi have been indefinitely suspended by WWE. It's been reported that Sasha has alienated many backstage, with Dave Meltzer giving more details to the situation on Wrestling Observer Radio. Sasha has always had issues. You know, she was mad that Ronda got the WrestleMania spot, which was planned for Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair for months. I wrote about it. She got moved down, and they gave her the tag belts as kind of like a concession because she got moved down. Going back to Naomi, her Twitter profile used to read WWE Superstar, but now it only shows her other social media handles. With it unclear when the Boss and the Glow will return, former WWE star Ryback took to Twitter to give advice to the duo. If the Naomi and Sasha stuff is legit, may I suggest getting some sort of surgery or medical procedure done if Vince McMahon or WWE try to freeze your pay. You can ride this out over multiple procedures and keep getting your downside legally. I did it until my contract expired. Apparently WWE is attempting to get the big guy to sign a non-disclosure agreement, as he previously called Vince McMahon's deceased mother a whore continues to speak ill of the company. Ryback wrote, "Over 5 months ago, WWE Legal reached out to propose a settlement, or they're going to lose the Ryback trademark. They want past rights for me to sign an NDA. They've repeatedly tried telling me to stop talking about Vince McMahon and the truth with WWE. You must right all wrongs." Coming from the AEW side, former WWE champion CM Punk would seemingly tell those backstage in WWE to support Banks and Naomi. Doesn't matter if your opinion of your coworker is positive or negative, stand with them, because they'll do the same thing to you, and you'll wish someone helped. Trust me, you're expendable. Together, you're unstoppable. With her announcing a leave of absence from WWE, Chief Brand Officer for the company Stephanie McMahon is reportedly keeping the situation private, with Wade Keller noting on PW Torch Daily Cast, "I've been told not to expect the reasons that Stephanie is stepping away to come out, but the implication is there are reasons. So this isn't going to be a public scandal, but it's something." That's about as much as I think I can say right now based on the indications I've gotten from talking to people who know or know Stephanie and Hunter, or know people who know them. And yeah, they are giving me indications of things. Whatever is going on sounds like it's just very private, and I have not been given any indications of what that is, and so it's a private and personal matter. It could have to do with Vince McMahon or Shane McMahon or Triple H. It was previously reported that Stephanie had to take on many of Triple H's responsibilities when he was gone with heart issues. Now all those that reported to Stephanie will instead go to WWE President Nick Khan, who is even expected to take on her duties. It was then said that during a round of cuts in the company, many of Stephanie's close co-workers were let go, with it noted that her team had been dismantled. Talking on his podcast with Conrad Thompson, Jim Ross spoke about the upcoming 6-man tag team match at StarCast on July 31st, where Ric Flair will wrestle for the last time at 73 with FTR against the Rock and Roll Express and a mystery partner. Thompson would tell Ross, "We're going to have the roast of Ric Flair on Friday night, and then on Sunday night, Jim Crockett Promotions is going to return for one night only. It's going to look and sound and feel like it did in the mid-80s, and Ric Flair's going to have his last match. I hope you'll forgive me, but I too am going to promote nostalgia one time." JR responded, "It's a great idea and a great package. I know fans are historically skeptical when somebody says blank is going to have his or her last match. Sometimes that can be an eye roller, but I think that's an absolutely phenomenal package. The roast, I'm sure, will be hilarious. Roasting Ric Flair is a hell of an opportunity. There's going to be a ton of fans in town. You've got your pool of potential customers and an attraction that hasn't been replicated anywhere, and the fact that Nate is going to get back in the ring in tights and wrestle is something that I would have never predicted you could pull off. Another good thing about that is Nate is not going to be wrestling a cappella. Others will be in the ring to experience the situation, and if you want to see a twinkle in talent's eyes, and I don't even know who, if I don't know, I can't tell, so I love that. You'll see guys in the ring with this last presentation for the Nate with twinkles in their eyes because this is a big deal to them too. Imagine being a wrestler growing up and admiring his work over time, and now you actually get to be in a match with him, and it's his last match. That's a hell of a big deal. I think you've got a hit there. Speaking on the sessions about NXT being rebranded to NXT 2.0, former general manager for the brand William Regal said he fully supports this. "When I heard last summer that we wanted to revamp, I was like, great. When I actually heard what Mr. McMahon wanted, I was all for that. I don't know if anybody knew that I was open to the fact that I wanted to be a big part of that because I was. I was very hands-on with the Creed brothers and very hands-on with Braun Breaker. I had an incredible run on the main roster and the absolute greatest run possible in NXT. If nothing else, the time came when it was time to go now, so it didn't become something I didn't like and move on. That's the way I look at it. When I actually heard what Mr. McMahon wanted, I was all for that." When facing Drew Parker at the GCW pay-per-view last night, former AEW star Joey Janela would set his foot on fire to super kick his opponent. He had trouble putting out the flame, as officials desperately poured water on his boot. Janela would then say after the fact, "Trying to go to bed, but it still won't go out. I already spent $36 at the vending machine on 7 bottles of water. Tried WebMD too. Any suggestions?" When it comes to WWE's upcoming Hell in a Cell pay-per-view on June 5th, WrestleTix is reporting that there are only 396 tickets available and that 11,971 have been distributed. With many excited over the prospect of Roman Reigns facing off against The Rock at WrestleMania, Brian Alvarez noted on Wrestling Observer Live that the Great One's schedule is cleared up for next year. He is going to do 0 movie commitments for the first quarter of 2023, which would allow him to do WrestleMania without having to worry about movie commitments and also have the time to help launch the first season of the XFL. So actually the timing for doing a WrestleMania match would be excellent this year, because he has 2 different projects which would require him to take time off from movies. With recently tweeting out her support for the Blackpool Combat Club faction in AEW, Renee Paquette revealed her hilarious interaction with those online, saying, "I had a rude awakening looking up things on the internet, so I had tweeted out my love of the Blackpool Combat Club, which their acronym is BCC. So I tweeted that and everyone's like, whoa, sweet innocent little me didn't know what that meant. Twitter was actually wrong, it would be BBC. I was in tears on my couch. I thought it was the funniest thing. I simply tweeted out I love BCC, and it just made it all very funny. It can be sketchy when you start to Google something like that on your phone. Our phones are always listening. It starts to give you suggested searches." When it comes to rumors of what's next for Sasha Banks and Naomi, WrestleVotes would write that after talking to a few people, I gather this Sasha/Naomi situation is going to get worse before it gets any better. While the majority of the support online is in their favor, it's quite the opposite with management. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.